Hello, everybody. This is Dicebag here. It's time for some drawing streams again. Wonderful, right? Yeah, this will probably be a pretty short one, actually. I actually have an interview to get to. Yeah, MS Arthadian, you know him, he was, did some, playtest streams with us for Crytures a while back. But he's got his own RPGs working on, and he also has a podcast, and he wants me to come back on. I've been on it before, and talk Crytures. So that'll be something I'm doing right after the stream, pretty much. So we're gonna get as much as we can done in that amount of time, but then we'll have to just hard out at a certain point. But anyways, today we're drawing whole illustrations, like full-blown pictures and stuff. Not just character designs this time, but we're just gonna sketch them out because frankly I don't have time to draw as many illustrations as I need to. So I'm gonna kind of hand these off to other artists and let them finish the things. I need to do more of this, but frankly there's not that many artists that I don't know if they can handle the stuff that I want them to do, that I know. A lot of them just aren't like big on the full-blown colors and everything, the paintings and that style. So we'll see what we can do. We got a few good ones here and there that I've used before, and we'll see what they can bring up. But anyways, yeah. Oh, I should probably join Discord, right? Get in the Discord chat, in the stream room, in case anybody's want to hang out and pop in. But let's get right on it. This one, first one I want to do right here, one with the let me bring up an image for reference for y'all. This is going to be kind of a demonstration of something in use. There we go, this thing. We're basically gonna draw this little thing, but as like an actual scene, a whole scene, with more characters, of course. Gonna have a few in there. But we're basically just gonna kind of lay it out right now. Maybe throw some colors on, I don't know. So, sketching. So we're gonna have Chloe out here up front for waifu material. Waifu, credit, power, whatever you call it. Then we'll have a couple of the younger guys in the back. Who goes there?
Weird, I can't hear you.
What?
Ah, now it's working. Justin,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Say what?
Oh, who's this guy?
Okay.
Who are you drawing right now?
Who am I drawing right now? You're choppy as usual, you know.
Strive for consistency.
Alright, you're coming through a little better. I'm doing Chloe right here. She's gonna be popping out of a wayward bloom with a couple other guys.
So, like a hot air balloon?
No. Bloom, with an M.
Oh, a bloom, okay. Are they each going to be in, like, cool poses?
I guess. Anyway, let's see. That's probably not actually as Are you watching the stream right now?
Yes, I am.
Cool. That way you'll know what I'm talking about when I reference the drawing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways,
Right now I'm actually working.
go on.
Right now I'm actually working on some piece of art myself. I know it's just a playtest and not even a playtest that we're planning to do, but we haven't actually done. I'm actually making art for the character I'm planning on playing for the playtest. If we do the playtest, I'm rambling.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if Dale can keep up. For the audience who haven't been privy to our conversations, Dale is reading up on the rules, or he has been, so he can...
He's also Australian, but that's kind of beside the point.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I didn't have him on with the earlier playtests, is because hard enough trying to schedule several other people without having to deal with somebody on the other side of the world.
No, it's his Aussie energy was too much for the first playtest.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if he was there, he would have summoned a horde of emus, even if there weren't any emu creatures for you created. They would have just appeared on the spot.
I think you're giving Australians way too much power.
They gave themselves that much power. Do you see the things they have to deal with?
If they had that much power, then why did they lose to the emus?
That's the point. They survived. The emus were there, invaded Australia. Wait a minute. It would have been humans invading Australia because of the emu. So the first emu war was technically the second emu war, because the first invasion came from the humans there. The Australians were actually there. No, it's not Australians. The emus were actually there. They just didn't put up much of a fight the first time. The second time, it was all downhill from there. If you can't tell, I just really like Australian jokes. Okay.
I've noticed.
Okay.
Let's see.
So is there going to be any context for the drawing, or is it just going to be concept art?
Just like a general illustration.
Okay. What's your philosophy on color palettes?
I don't know. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go.
Okay. You aren't afraid of anything like clashing?
I'm always afraid of things clashing. I just feel like it's not something I can describe entirely. I just feel it out.
You take the soul of the drawing and try to give it life.
No, I trial and error until I find something that works.
Yeah. Reminds me of like Michelangelo saying, "I saw a woman in the stone. I just set her free." Makes me wonder about all his previous tries, how many other women he disfigured from his carving. I noticed that she's in a very similar pose to her initial art. I'm wondering, just basically...
What? I didn't catch all that.
What you're drawing right now, with Chloe her hand on her hat and her hand on hers, and then the other hand on her staff, is very similar to her first artwork.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay. Do you just like the pose because it shows basically what she's about?
It kind of shows her character, I guess.
Okay. I forget, does Chloe have glasses?
Yes.
Kind of hard to see. Okay. It might be kind of cute for her to have her staff behind her.
So what with her
You know,
staff?
like, you know, like have her staff behind her, like you know the pose where a person has like a long staff and then they have it in the basically the crook of the back, nestled nestled between under the elbows, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
That wouldn't be how you'd use a staff like hers, though.
I know, but I was just thinking for her to hold it because she's not currently using it, right? She's just in the flower.
You can use it to lean on and walk, you know? That's what most people did.
I know that, but if you're in the flower, I'm just saying that there are plenty of creative things you can do with the staff poses.
We don't want
There's one thing
to
that
make things like too over dramatic here.
Okay.
Kind of annoys me when people are in weird, unnatural positions and stuff. It's just like nobody actually moves like that, you know.
I can understand that. I kind of been thinking, you know, the shorts where you reveal a new creature on YouTube.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking maybe for like after the build up for the creature, it can show a crystal that's broken in the background. You know how there's initially this crystal in the background pulsating, building up, and then after that, it can basically crack to show a shattered version of the crystal to kind of give the idea that the creature is coming out of the crystal, even if the crystal becomes actually the creature in lore.
Yeah, you could, but here's the thing, I'd have to draw all that. The whole point of those things is to be able to just slap it together in a few minutes and post it to appease algorithms.
I was just saying you could do. You only would have to make one shattered crystal drawing. Change the color.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I'm wondering if there was a creature that was based on oil, like crude oil, would that be a poison type or earth type or something, or an undead type or something like that?
Oil?
Yeah, crude oil.
It'd probably be the fluid class, I would imagine. So that would be water. It'd probably be an aberrant or something like that. I'd imagine fluid and ooze would be its main classes.
I was kind of thinking about like a dinosaur creature that is basically it's from like ancient times, so it's basically mimicking wildlife from before the cataclysm that caused them to mutate into creatures. Like because fossils are like millions of years old, there would probably it would probably make sense for at least like some kind of dinosaur bone or something from before the thing, and maybe some kind of aberration took or some kind of necrotic magic took hold of that, and it was like mimicking the shapes of the creatures before then. Not the creatures, the animals before the whole magic thing.
If you want to do like a fossil Pokemon, I'd just make it undead. That would be kind of the fantasy way of doing that.
Yeah, some kind of undead aberrant with the fluid class. Do you have any particular fantasy novels that you read in your spare time?
No, I'm not a big reader. I
I
read
am a.
I read things about games. I read rules.
Well, it's good to be read. I guess even if it's just rules. I wonder if never mind. And I myself, kind of partial to Brandon Sanderson, but that's kind of a normie take.
Yeah, I've read Stormlight Archives before.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
I kind of also been reading a bit of Orson Scott Card, and it seems like your classification of fantasy versus sci-fi really holds up to that kind of thing. That kind of thing, because Brandon Sanderson, he's very much about he's really good about the hero's journey. Orson Scott Card, he's about kind of has a bit of philosophy, but it's mostly about how things affect a real world scenario. Like even when he writes fantasy, they have a lot about politics, about how people are affected in different situations.
Yeah, that's
like nations.
The distinction that usually holds up, and that's why I say Star Wars is space fantasy, not sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. Now let's get a little bit of her features on here. I need to actually pull up a reference for her right now. What am I doing? There she be. Alright, so she's gonna have much more drastic tilt to the thing.
Mm-hmm. Does the flower does it create a kind of wind effect like in some teleported things they show plus like really rippling because of the magic around it?
Rippling?
I don't know, like when in I think like is it Howl's Moving Cat? No, Kiki's Delivery Service. They add a bit of flare effect when Kiki ever rides her broom to give a sense that the magic is exerting a kind of pressure that affects things around them.
I would not say so. I say the way a Wayward Bloom would work is you step inside one of them, then once you activate it, it starts, the center part glows, and then it opens up and you're on the other side.
How difficult are those flowers to make?
Pretty difficult. They'd be like next to the highest. They'd be like a level 4 agronomy skill.
And, so, are they kind of portable? Like, can you keep one in your pocket, and then whenever you need to make it, you can just plop it on the ground, so you can go back home and then retrieve it later?
Oh hell
Something
no!
like that?
No, that'd be way too easy. These you would have to spend time growing it for like a primary one, and then once you got one made up, what you can do is you can basically how to describe this. You'd when you activate it, you can choose to either travel to another one within a certain radius, or you can have it grow a temporary bloom, which would require a skill check to see how close you get it to your intended destination.
So you could like end up within another flower or something?
Yeah, you'd end up with a new flower in a different spot, but that one would wither away as soon as you used it again. So you can get out and then get back, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that's I came up with that idea because I've been playing what do you call that? Deep Rock Galactic for so much. And one of the main mechanics of there is that they have the drop pods that they send out. You go on a mission and you have to go down to the planet's surface in a drop pod. And then whenever you're done with the mission, they send another drop pod for you, and you have to make it to the drop pod in order to get back after finish the mission.
Okay.
I thought, hey, how could I do that in a fantasy setting and keep the flavor?
Okay.
That's one thing I'm really big about is if I'm going to implement some kind of sci-fi thing in a fantasy world, I want it to feel like it's fantasy.
Yeah, I don't want to want any of that. Magic is just science. You just don't understand it, kind of thing.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that magic is science that you don't understand. Well, that's less understood, but the thing with this is I don't want it to be like, oh, here's a computer, but it runs on this magic energy instead of electricity. The Final Fantasy way of doing things, I freaking hate that. It's not magic if it's the same thing but with some excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, her hair long.
So she specializes in earth magic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can the earth magic like make soil like much better? Like say, hey, there's like some kind of blight, can it basically fix the soil so that things can grow better and things like that?
Oh, probably. That would be that'd be a good shtick for her, being that she's also Viridian Order and they do plant stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I probably didn't need to draw her entire hair there. This is just supposed to be a sketch. But whatever. Okay, hold on. Drawing something wrong here. Alright, let's get some other guys in here.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about...
I'm wondering...
Go ahead.
Okay, you go. Okay. This is the verbal equivalent of stepping in the way of a person, then you both step to the same direction.
Uh-huh. Well, as I was saying, when I was thinking about this drawing, I realized I don't have that many weaker dude characters.
You don't have enough Marcos.
Not Marco. Marco is not even a conjurer. He's just... I mean, like, conjurers that aren't, like, at the top of their game. At their peak.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, people starting out. New guys.
Yeah.
I had a funny idea. I know... basically, if I would oversee a Crytures campaign, and we were just doing the starter module, and you're just escorting Marco, I would have had Marco had secretly been traded out by an imposter, and the imposter's name would be Overseer Polo. Oversea, Underland, Polo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Making fun just for the sake of it.
Yeah, and he's like actually a spy for the bad guys. He looks exactly like Marco. He even has poor eyesight, except Marco is nearsighted, Polo is farsighted. And all the bad guys have to basically work hard not to actually say Overseer Polo.
Let's see.
I would probably be a terrible DM.
I wouldn't consider myself a great DM.
I guess the mark of a good DM is not like how good of story it is. It's actually just how consistent you are. Because if you're not consistent, nothing else really matters.
I think good DMs are good at doing stuff on the fly.
Mm-hmm. Improv students.
I guess. Alright. Need to get another person up here. Let's see, we basically got two choices. We've got Anton and we've got Levi. I guess we're gonna have them. So what?
Are all the conjurers in Root Run, are they part of the same... Are most of them part of the same guild except for the ones in the Viridian Order, or are they just kind of free agents?
Most of them would be like part of the militia. They'd be spending most of their time patrolling around, keeping creatures out of the fields.
Okay, so someone kind of like a shepherd, who basically only learned about conjuring because he needed to tend to the sub creatures, and he needs to take care of them. That would be like somebody who's not at the top of their game. Just someone who just has a day job, and basically after something happened, he's first forced to go into adventuring and not just, tending the fields.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, that's just an idea. You don't have to take it. What were you thinking?
I mean, I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, it sounds about right. Sounds perfectly plausible.
Mhm.
I just
Wait a minute, is this the baby?
what?
Are you drawing the baby face punk or the fantasy K-pop guy? Which one of the three are you drawing right now?
Wait, what?
The baby face punk or the fantasy K-pop star? The paladin or the cleric?
Those guys are top of the league. I'm
No,
drawing.
but are you drawing? Oh, okay.
I'm not drawing either of them right now. I'm drawing
Are
this
you making a
guy.
new guy? Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
you know what?
isn't he like the prince?
Huh?
No, he's not the prince. He's another guy. The blue guy who has the high flagel.
That's the Duke's son.
I'm wondering, is there like an actual feudal system of where the king basically gives authority to the guys the guys below him, or is it just everybody works with the king and the people the very ruling order aren't basically rulers? They're more uh, of elite warriors, something like that.
The Viridian Order would be the equivalent of like knights. So they'd be like they have lordship over part of the land in exchange for being like his elite soldiers, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I hate drawing bodies in profile.
One of the things that I think is kind of underrated in fantasy is adding religion into it. This is probably just a personal pet peeve, but that so many ideas with fantasy, they either go in the direction of, oh, these are basically religious zealots unable to stop the dogma of their time, or they say, oh, you just believe enough, everything will work out. I don't feel like they give the essence of religion, or that is to say, the essence of the philosophy, being how you live your life and what you do with it, and basically how the way you view the world. Basically, my idea for at least for fantasy, and partially for real life, is that religion is basically the acting premises of a philosophy. You know how philosophies they don't just have reason; they have reason coming from premises, and when you state those premises, that is effectively your religion, even if it's not non-theistic.
Yeah, I'm definitely wondering how religion works out in Creatures. That's something I've had to basically rewrite from the ground up because of the existence of mythic creatures and all that.
What I've kind of been thinking of is maybe the mythic creatures don't really like being bonded to humans, but they end up doing it. I was kind of thinking maybe it could end up being kind of like the divine right of king, and what you worship is not the king or the creature itself, but basically the bond the two share. Basically, seeing that as a union between rational man and the wildness of nature, kind of like the how the Holy Spirit is to is defined by Catholics as the love between the Father and the Son, kind of something like that. How in
Yeah,
also
that's
in
complete
Catholicism.
bullshit.
Okay, I was kind of thinking of also how did how also in Catholicism how Mary, and also in Protestantism as well, even if they don't worship Mary, they see they see Mary as the connection between between mere humans and godhood, even if Christ is even if the crisis is the full culmination, that Christ is basically the fruit of that. I don't know. So there
Let
would
me
probably
tell.
be at least some people
Let me tell you
who
right now.
worship.
I think
Mhm.
Catholicism is kind of retarded.
Same, but they're
They've got
uh,
too much mysticism trying to go on, and then I don't know.
yeah, yep,
And
yeah.
the idol worship and all that. They're definitely they don't really have a guiding philosophy that's consistent.
Mhm.
It's just an institution as far as I consider it.
Okay. I'm wondering about which branch are you to are you are you unaffiliated? Are you Protestant, or part? Are you perhaps colloquially known as Mormon or something else?
You'd probably consider me like evangelical, I guess.
Okay. I myself
Anyways,
is Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I forbid to say that, but
uh,
colloquially known as Mormon.
right.
Yeah. We can do our thing differently.
Let's see. Oh, I hate this space.
I'm wondering, is there basically a guiding philosophy to the Viridian Order? Is it just an exchange of land for service, or do they believe that in serving the king, they are acting in a kind of greater good, that they know that the king is just, or they know that or is it kind of a nationalist thing where they know by serving or patriotic thing, they know by serving the king, they are serving their fellow man. They see uh, their nation is basically an extension of their family, something like that.
The Viridian Order definitely has like guidelines of behavior. I believe I have a write-up on the wiki for it.
Okay.
Let's see. Organizations. Oh, I just have the artisans on the main thing. I must not have published that one yet. So let me dig.
What is your opinions of mushrooms? Mushrooms being considered grass types in Pokemon. Like, if you had to make a mushroom creature, would it be grass type, or would you try to go with more like undead because how they feast on carrion and things like that? They feast on like rotten wood.
I'd probably just make it a plant.
Okay.
And let's see. Let's read this a little better. The Viridian Order is an association of conjurers who answer directly to Duke Arthur Oakthorn, and they are guided by the divine inspiration of his mythic creature, the Verdant King. Members of the Viridian Order are expected to uphold a code of conduct that demands the following: embrace courage over caution, accept any challenge, be good stewards of the land, and defend the defenseless. So the plan, the plan is to have like a leading member for each of those commands that like exemplifies that.
Okay. And so basically, the three guys you have on stream right now are basically one for that exemplified each of the codes, kind of like admin from Team Rocket or something like that.
Kinda, yeah. So Chloe would be courage over caution, and then
Kind of cool that it's kind of unique that you have a mage for that because people usually for courage over caution would mostly be basically like fighters or paladins, like people who do physical stuff. But there's a lot of rashness that comes in discovering new things as well.
Yeah, well, that's Chloe's personality, basically. She's a redhead for a reason.
That's she's definitely somebody's type.
I think she might be everybody's type.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, anyways, Guildheart would be defend the defenseless. Then, accept any challenge is, Julian's thing. And then the last guy that I haven't drawn yet is Gideon. And he would be good stewards of the land.
Mm-hmm. And is he magic based or melee based?
He's basically a ranger.
Okay. That sounds cool. I think it would be cool to have actually, never mind. I was thinking of rangers. They typically do like bows, but I saw the crossbow weapon and I thought that would be pretty cool. But maybe maybe something else. I don't know. I was just thinking about how would good stewards of land be? Yeah, basically, yeah. Never mind. I'm just scatterbrained right now.
I've got ideas for Gideon's backstory already. I just haven't gotten to drawing him.
Okay.
He's basically... He was very, he doesn't like creatures, or at least he didn't, before the Duke got hold of him and changed his mind over time.
Brainwashed him.
Convinced him. But yeah, his
gave him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Gideon's shtick is that he was a creature hunter without using creatures.
Okay, so he's not used to using creatures, so he basically is really good at like melee and magic and that kind of thing.
Well, he's pretty good with creatures now.
Okay.
But he's now he earned his station in life by avoiding them and hunting them.
Okay. He found out that creatures, instead of just being an unnatural magical entity that could not be understood, much less related to man, and he understood them to be basically a gift to be taken care of, as much as of the land as the grass under your feet.
Generally, sure.
Okay. I just saw the sword in his hand, and I was wondering, is he just going to have a giant sword that's too heavy for him to hold, and he's just tipping over? That's the moment.
We're gonna try and make this a more reasonable size.
Okay. Make it a really tiny knife.
He's already got defined equipment.
So I'm wondering, and I saw one of the equipment a person can have is a throwing knife. Forgive me if I didn't read it enough, but can the throwing knife, you get to keep it after you throw it, or do you have to retrieve it, or what?
You're gonna have to retrieve it, yeah. I generally would assume that You
It
do
doesn't just
that
magically appear back
automatically
in your
after
hand.
battle. I don't like dealing with a lot of bookkeeping and pedantic stuff like that.
So, what is the Verdant King's opinion on the Viridian Order? Like, he's hoity-toity, and from what I understand, mythical creatures don't like the people they're bonded to very much. Is that generally true, or am I just making things up?
It depends on which one.
Okay. To the Verdant King, is he pretty chill? Because it seems like he would clash a lot with the Duke.
The Duke usually tries to keep him happy, but they're generally not a problem with each other. The way I've basically think of the lore, as far as mythic creatures go, is that they're basically like angelic beings, but they're not. They're part of
Kind of
overseeing the land.
Kind of like Tolkien's to elves in the Lord of the Rings, how much of their appearance is based on like the idea of fallen angels, about how they're kind of androgynous and how they can basically live forever. They're more of a force than actual characters.
Yeah. And so that's why they have their the concept of divine inspiration that they give to their conjurers. And then some of them are let's just say they're not happy to be subject to the powers that be.
I read the wiki article of the Duke, and I can just imagine them being like a comedic duo where the Burning King is the straight man, and the Duke is the funny man, where something crazy happens, and the Burning King is basically like Squidward, and the Duke is just really excited, and the Burning King is just trying to rein the Duke in from doing stupid things.
The Verdant King would just watch.
Please die, he's thinking. I noticed that many of the richer characters and creatures have cloaks. Is that basically like a symbol of authority, or do they just or does it just look cool in them?
Cloaks are the creature's version of hats in Pokemon.
Okay.
You know how a lot of the Pokemon main characters wear hats? Pretty much all of them.
Yeah, so basically they're equivalent of the equivalent of like goggles in Digimon or something.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I don't know.
It's a fantasy flair that I like to include.
Okay.
Also, it reminds me of Slayers. Which is where I get some of my character design inspiration as far as clothes go.
Okay.
Let's see.
So at the first point in the creatures like beginner campaign or beginner module or something, is Route 1 like aware of any enemies that are trying to encroach on their territory? Or are they like largely unknown, like the Phantom Menace?
Oh, the Barbarian clan would have been around for a while. They'd be a consistent problem in the area.
Okay.
The artisans are the main thing that's like hanging out in the shadows, you might say.
Okay. And what about that other shadowy group?
The
You know, the
Black
one that's about the
Pawns,
shadows?
those
Yeah.
guys would mostly be active in like the capital that I haven't really fleshed out yet. So Root Run is kind of like a frontier town. But the Duke's mentor is kind of the king of the whole region that he kind of allies himself with. And he's got a much larger city.
Could a creature help you cheat at cards? Like if you had like somewhat a creature behind you and you communicate telepathically with them. Let's say you can. You probably can. You're going to say that you can, but what is the penalties for like petty thievery like that? Like just a bit of a fight, a scuffle, or would you like logically be like arrested or something?
I mean, I'd probably just leave that up to whatever the situation is.
Okay.
You're talking about cheating in a card game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt like local authorities would get involved even. That's what we're talking.
What if you were playing games with a card game with the Duke and you found out that you were cheating?
I don't know, you might have a hard time cheating the Duke.
Oh.
But
is there any particular reason in lore for that?
The Duke's a very perceptive guy.
Okay. Could be a little bit ambiguous. So the world builder in the game can take a hold of that and make their own game.
Yeah.
Okay, who's the third guy?
This is gonna be Levi.
Levi?
He's the guy on a lot of the he's probably the most generic looking guy I've got. He would be
Mr. Generic Man, Mr. Generic. Generic Man.
The anime everyman.
Gee, what if you drew him but just left him without a face?
Levi is actually the what do I call it? Archmage's son.
Okay.
And you might start to see why I need more male characters that aren't like uber.
Less waifus and more mailfus. Okay. Yeah, if I ramble on, I could probably come up with a few stories for you to make characters out of if you don't want to put the effort into that.
I think coming up with designs and concepts is probably the toughest part. Most of the male characters I've got ideas for would not be around Root Run. Like Viveka's dad.
What about a Potter's son who always admired the Knights of the Viridian Order? So every day he practiced until he was able to figure out lucid dreaming on his own. He's not very experienced with creatures, but he has a lot of heart and he's willing to learn. And he dreams of becoming a knight.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Or an elderly man who's used to the older ways of conjuring, but after starting a family and living for a long time, he's kind of lost his touch. He's hoping that he, after a financial collapse, he hopes to be able to get back out there and make some money for his family. Okay.
If he's an older conjurer, and he probably has some pretty well-developed creatures, right?
Yeah, but let's say they, due to a tragedy in the past, they all have a huge amount of enmity toward him, and to be able to get back on their good side, he has to basically prove himself as a conjurer. So basically, that's basically like a cool mechanic. Like you have a few creatures that have really strong personalities, but you can't really access them. So you have to either risk them not listening to you for a couple of turns, or and all the while you keep on role playing with them, trying to come to terms with trying to get them to come to terms with the fact, or come to an understanding with them. Kind of like how some campaigns they have like magic swords that have like a huge downside, or you have to roll a certain number to be able to use it. But once you're able to use it, it's really helpful. So you have to basically role play until you can actually use that normally.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of NPCs here.
Okay, NPCs that aren't like huge conjurers, so.
Yeah. A lot of them would probably just be like mooks.
Maybe a Petrock maker who's gone bankrupt because everybody else already has too many Petrocks, but is able to basically mass produce the Petrock. So if the conjurers need any Petrocks, they can just buy them by the dozen or something like that.
I have a artificer that makes Petrocks, actually.
A whole army, a legion of Petrocks.
Let's see. I haven't used him in a while. But let's see. What does freaking Levi actually look like? Let's see. I need to get him up.
Oh, there's Levi. That's Levi, right there. On the stream, the guy on the stream. Definitely Levi.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe you have one character who's basically a conspiracy theorist, but he's right about everything in the worst way possible. Like, he says there's a group of underground secret society members that are trying to control the world, and they all have purple snakes for arms, or something like that.
Why would they have purple snakes for arms?
I'm just trying to say that's he's right about everything in the worst way possible. Like, maybe he's just a little bit off, like saying that they're trying to like resurrect the great king, when in reality they're just down there to try to get the contains mystical creatures. That's what that's the plan of the stone. Not the stone cutters. That's simply, but the artisans, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. Let's see.
I have been working on something in basically a drunkard character that was basically in a noble ball. I've just been drawing that, trying to make. I hope you don't mind me just fanboying, but I have been drawing a drunkard character that you could potentially use for an NPC unless you just want to design it yourself.
Let's see. I mean, I expect to do all of the designs myself for at least the first release. But
I understand.
Ideas are always welcome.
Okay. I was thinking basically a kind of drunk nobleman that everybody kind of tolerates him because he's like super rich and materials and things like that. And things like that, but everybody's just mildly annoyed at his presence. Like, say the Duke likes him enough because he's always good for a game of cards, but it turns out he actually, the reason why he has the wealth is he didn't just inherit it. He just has like a secret mine or something that produces all these amazing little trinkets that he's able to sell, but he's just always drunk, so no one really thinks much of him. Thinks that he just inherited all the wealth from a rich guy in the past.
I don't know how much of
complicated.
I don't know how much wealth there would be to inherit around Root Run. It's mostly farm.
Or maybe you can just make him a drunkard who makes really good moonshine. He's always really drunk on his own supply, but everybody just tolerates him because his ale is that good.
I don't know. I'm not.
And since he's drunk while making the moonshine, the players have like a 1 in 8 chance upon drinking it to receive a random debuff of some kind for the next battle.
Thing is, I need conjurers. Just need to, this hand looks god-awful. Need to sit down and just think of niches I can fill.
You're still there.
Hmm?
Okay, sorry, you cut out for a moment.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, 1 second. I opened Discord on my computer.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I was connected on my phone because my phone for some reason is much better for Discord. But going on in maybe some kind of a mystic niche who is like terrible with creatures, so it's not a conjurer, but has this weird philosophy about the meaning of like lucid dreams or something like that.
Wait, what were you saying? I think I missed the first part of that.
Okay, I was thinking about about other niches you could fill, like maybe some kind of mystic who isn't too good with creatures, but is but it has a but has like weird philosophy on dreams or something like that. And honestly, I don't know what I'm doing with going with this, but I was just trying to ramble off potential niches you could niche ideas you could have characters or things like that. Just something to talk about.
Yeah, I usually like to think of it from like starting from their creature theme.
Oh, I can see what you're talking about. So what a
That
so
using creatures as the basis informs the way they look a little better than kind of like.
where would you find celestial creatures?
Say what?
Where would you find celestial creatures?
Same place you'd find everything else.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like any particular creature is or creature type is confined to a specific area.
Okay. Pottery. I'm wondering if you could use something with maybe like a pottery maker that's really obsessed with ooze creatures, just creatures that are slime, so that he can basically work with them and we can help him with his pottery.
Oh, we already have a slime fanatic. That's Celine.
Ah, okay. You don't have a character that's obsessed with cataloging all different kinds of creatures yet, right? Oh yeah, you already have the professor.
Yeah, that would be Lucas.
I wonder if there are any underground creature fight rings.
In the capital, there probably are.
Okay.
Let's see.
That's probably work. As long as in the underground, maybe maybe uh, an essence harvester that keeps their creatures in really poor conditions, but just keeps them to be able to harvest their essences.
Well, the thing is, they just be kept in people's astral pockets most of the time.
Mm-hmm. I guess so. One of the applications for creatures could be basically getting around disabilities. So, like, say someone can't walk or can't. Oh, yeah, I have an idea. A deaf or a blind conjurer that can basically hear or see directly through the creature. That's a cool idea.
I feel like I need to draw clothes on Chloe now. Everybody else has clothes.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit uncomfortable.
I wasn't gonna go this far on the sketch, but oh well. Goal is to hand this off to another artist to finish. Not to do it myself.
You know, you've sent a few sketches to Liz before. I think that to Liz would work great with all the magical essence that's coming from the flower. She's really good with the effects.
Maybe. I'm not entirely sold on Tilliz's ability to draw humans, though.
Yeah.
She's really good with creatures, but humans are very hit or miss. Sometimes that might be old art she posts, though. I don't know. Sometimes she posts art and it's like, I did this like 5 years ago. Oh.
I have a feeling if you hand this to Kohath, it's gonna the sketch is gonna turn out a lot more like it was before you started drawing clothes on Chloe.
Kohath, I'd like to use him if he actually like did some colors.
Mm-hmm.
I never see him actually render a piece out.
I mostly use Krita for my applications. I'm wondering about how you applied colors. You just use whenever I tried color fill, there ends up being basically a line of white to between the line art and the actual color, like that border. I'm wondering how you get around that. You just make your line so your sketch basically so many pixels so big that it doesn't really matter, or what do you do?
What program are you using?
Rita.
Oh, I don't know anything about that one. Most programs, though, they have like a feature that lets you like expand a selection.
What do you mean by that?
You know, when you use like a selection tool to make like the dotted line thing around it, an area.
Oh yeah,
Like the lasso.
so like the magic wand tool.
Yeah, the magic wand is a lasso. So if you use the magic wand to select the spaces inside of it, and then you go to find the expand option, you can expand it out several pixels. Okay. So that the selected area is bigger. And that's how I used to deal with things back when I used Photoshop for this stuff. But with CSP, just the fill tool can be adjusted in a way that mostly compensates for that.
Okay.
One of the reasons I haven't gone back to Photoshop ever since I started using CSP.
Are creature instances any good at making paint? Like different kinds of color?
Creature essences?
Yeah. Like say you had a painter character that tried to use creature essences for her painting. Like I'm wondering if you could make like a magically enhanced painting because of that. With that.
That could be a thing to explore, but that's something that's like an entirely new mechanic to build on.
Yeah, I was just thinking like Harry Potter's the moving portraits, but actually like well thought out, because with the moving pictures they have in the Harry Potter, like do each of them have like a constant essence? If you like throw away a newspaper with a moving picture, are you basically killing an intelligent being that was created?
I don't know anything about Harry Potter. It always seemed kind of whack to me. Never was fond of the bibbity bobbity boo style of magic they have in there.
You just say the words in Latin, and it happens in real life. No one knows why, but you can just do it. Seems a bit too easy. Like, why do you don't? Yeah, why do you need to need like such long tests for things like that? All you have to do is give the wizards a vocab list to memorize.
Dang it. Drew her top wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops. let's see. And she's got this, I don't know what you call this. This dress thing that's not really a dress. Surely there's a word for it, but I don't know it.
Skirt?
Hmm?
Let me see. Okay. I think it's a tunic.
The thing that's like trailing off behind her is what I'm talking about.
A cape.
Cape?
Else like that.
Doesn't really go around her shoulders.
Okay. Oh, I believe it's called a train. Like
Train.
you know how it.
I guess so.
Oh, in. Yeah. It's funny how the choo-choo train word was derived from fancy ornamentation that people had, like how it would be fall around, how it would basically trail behind. Has Chloe ever experimented with aberrant or undead magic?
I mean, she
She's
can she can probably do all kinds, but
she probably try to find the most dangerous magic and at least try to find out what she could do with it, or is she kind of things like make giant rocks and smash people with them, kind of magician.
in battle she would definitely be trying to make giant rocks and smashing people with them. But
how much does she accept that as a solution to problems, like non-battle problems? Like, wait, we have technology. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, I mean, she wouldn't just smack things as her go-to way of solving problems, no.
Honestly, that's an archetype that should be used more. A magician and who isn't really about that knowledge is the key to power and all that kind of stuff. He just likes making really big fireballs and exploding them.
Chloe's definitely more of a nerdy character. In case you couldn't tell by the big glasses.
Nerd.
I just realized I drew all their whole bodies and I forgot to put like the blooms in. We're gonna move this up a tad.
Maybe the blooms you could see a few of the petals behind them, and then like a petal in the foreground to imply how they're going through, or do you just want to?
I want it to look like it's opening up. Let me see. Need my reference image. I got too many tabs open. Oh wait. Yeah, I'm gonna need to see that all the time. I literally had to freaking trace an image of a lotus in order to get this right. I hate drawing flowers. Which is ironic, considering the theme of the Viridian Order. Alright. We'd have one petal, it's kind of like so. that one. Alright. Go in here, and we're not going to erase all that because I want to move some of that stuff around later, but we're going to take the background color and fill it in underneath. Then, let's see. Oh, I think he's gone. Alright. Now I can focus on the drawing a little more, but it's practically done. I'm just gonna kind of, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna throw lines on it for colors. That means we're gonna need faces.
Sorry, my
You
my
back?
phone died.
Ah.
Ooh, I like what we have so far.
His jaw is looking too much like a snout.
I was talking more about the.
What? No, anime characters are supposed to be cats, but they're not supposed to be that much cats.
A cat to character by cat.
Yeah, I can tell you're on your PC because you're cutting in and out. Let's see. Chloe, what the heck does Chloe's face look like? Oh, go away. What the hell is this? Oh, jeez. I clicked something on one of my image windows, and friggin' Windows 10 has to do some weird garbage. I hate new Windows. That's not the right one. Now let's close some of these.
Me. Alright, Chip. I looked at the stream for a second and I realized how stupid I sound with my voice.
You're hard to understand sometimes, yeah. Let's see.
How hard is it to become part of the Viridian Order?
I don't know. I think that's something that needs to be up to DMs
Okay.
in case they have characters that want to join.
What kind of land? So what kind of lands does Chloe own? Like she owns land, right?
Yeah, I haven't
Is-
really fleshed hers out much, but I think what I intended for her was that she'd own a very farm-heavy place.
Does she have serfs that are basically like research assistants? I guess they're like a full feudal system, or just a kind of thing like trying to bride protector, or I just own this land, or what?
I don't think serfs is what you'd call them.
Peasants? Riffraffs?
They'd be like the governors or the mayors of their towns.
Okay.
More than anything. Let's see. Levi. I'm looking for Levi. There he is.
Is Chloe originally from there, or was she appointed to that land?
Well, I mean, it's not a huge area. We're talking like villages that these guys are ruling over.
Okay, so kind of like outposts. So being far apart from like the city proper would probably be more accustomed to having like barbarian raids or creature attacks because the Duke expects the Viridian orders to basically tend to their own lands.
Can you give me that again?
Basically, I was thinking like because they're mayors, the Duke really expects that the lands of the Viridian Order for each one of them to basically tend to their own lands. So basically, the king wouldn't marshal an army just because of a few barbarian raids on one Viridian Order's town.
Well, protecting the town would be part of their responsibility.
Yeah, their own responsibility. They wouldn't have marshal like a ton of things, but those villages would basically be prone or basically be adventurers to get quests and stuff.
Yeah. And we're talking like these villages would be within like a few hours walks of each other.
Mm-hmm. What happens when there's a dispute between them? Is that something for the GM to decide, or do they have like agencies for certain characters to do certain things, or what?
I mean, the Duke would probably figure that out himself.
Okay. It's probably something for the GM to decide, but I can just imagine. When the crystals that a person hold, if you look deeply into them, you can see the image of the creature inside.
That could be. I mean, the original art, the very first piece of art I made had that in it. Which, by the way, has Levi in it. Let's see. I'll bring it up. And we can gander at history.
Ooh, you're gonna be traveling into the past.
Here we go. first picture with Levi and Konane before they had names. But oh, it's not there in this version. I must have removed it. I've redone this picture several times. Let's see. Oh, there it is.
Notice that now you have certain characters don't have pupils.
Yeah.
Ew, what's that?
That's a mythic creature.
Oh. And I'm planning on it changing the design when you give it a proper drawing, or keeping it as is?
It's gone through an iteration or two already.
Okay.
I haven't really fleshed it out a great deal.
Okay. Kind of quiet. Usually we have a few people in the chat for these creature drawing streams.
Yep.
Is there anybody on Odyssey? Oh, now
I don't
I
see
understand.
anything.
Spring break.
Spring break.
So people.
You know,
so
I
people
haven't
are just
refreshed.
hang out with their families.
I haven't refreshed Odyssey. Okay, nothing's happening in Odyssey.
Yeah.
Sometimes Odyssey just doesn't update properly. Because it's alt tech and half the time they don't work. I do have to call it quits at a certain point. I said this at the beginning of the stream, but
Just gonna be a few sketches.
maybe not even a few. But there's another guy from the whole alt tech community that wants to interview me for his podcast. He's got his own RPG that he's working on.
Send me a link.
I don't have one off the top of my head. I could
Not
probably
right now.
find his social media right now, actually.
You memorized the whole bit.ly URL.
Let's see. There's the guy's social media there. Or his Minds account, specifically. Okay, why the hell? What's up with Odyssey right now? I can't find the chat bar to type in. Odyssey viewers, if you're having the same issue, blink 3 times. That might be why nobody's chatting in Odyssey. I can't figure out how to do it. Maybe it's just because I'm... Okay, it shows up when you're full screen.
Maybe if you believe her enough, Odyssey will magically work.
It shows up in full screen, but if you're in the vertical mode, it doesn't show up. What the hell? But yeah, he's got a podcast, and I think we're pre-recording this, so it'll be out some other time. Then yeah, I'll probably post about it on my social medias when he's ready to release that. Might be a good time to actually put some colors on this guy. This thing. Got a big old gap here, though. Oh, right. I need to get all the references images in here. Is always a pain trying to find them all. There's one. There's 2. And there's 3. There we go. That wasn't so bad. Whoops. Whoops. Nope. Can't stop clicking on stupid things.
You accidentally click on TikTok?
No.
I'm just saying it's a pretty stupid thing to click on.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't
bad
have
joke.
TikTok anywhere around me. Nah, I'm clicking on stupid optional stuff in CSP, bringing up extra windows that don't need to be there. There we go. And rip. Alright, Chloe's turn. Okay, her hair is darker than her undershirt. I'm surprised there weren't any gaps there in her hair. I don't think I forgot to enable the time-lapse recording on this. Been meaning to do that on all my drawings, but oh well. And Levi's turn.
I'm wondering, how old does a
Yeah.
person have to be to own a creature? Like, is it like Pokemon where just 10 years old, or do the people see how irresponsible kids can be and actually give them basically to actually screen them to make sure they're ready for it?
I don't think there'd be a lot of regulation on creature ownership for kids.
Yeah, but what about the parents?
Well, that would depend on the parents, wouldn't it?
That's another question. How common are orphans in Creatures?
Orchids?
Orphans.
Orphans? I don't know. Probably about as common as anywhere else.
The Viridian Order is just a bunch of orphans that do adopted.
Let's see.
Is there? I noticed there is a binding crystal in Chloe's staff. But is there a creature currently inside it?
You're dropping out real bad right now.
There is a binding creature in Chloe's staff.
No.
Oh, it's not. Okay. What kind of missions are the original?
You're breaking up again.
Hey,
Yeah?
you probably don't have context in mind for this, but in your mind, what do you imagine they're planning on fighting? Like once they're out of that flower, like in pretty clear based their weapons drawn, they're anticipating a fight.
Well, they got their weapons drawn because they're going out into the wilderness and they don't know what's going to be there.
Okay. Oh, they already have a flower that's grown there from previous group.
It could be
Or a previous group?
grown here already, or it could be one of those temporary ones.
Oh, that sounds like a cool story. Okay, flower that was grown in the wilderness and no one knows who grew it or how it got there. So they basically send a team out to investigate to see if maybe like their enemies got a hold of their technology or something.
It also gives DMs ways that they can sabotage the missions. Make complications for them. Going out with Wayward Bloom. Now that you've returned to it, it's being munched on by creatures.
As mischievous, truly a technology as mischievous as the Fae themselves.
Let's see. You guys got blue crystals. Whoops.
Are some crystals those crystals are in pouches. I was wondering if some people kept their crystals underneath their cloaks.
You could. I mean, you could keep your crystals wherever you feel like, really.
Just go throughout the entire campaign with the crystal in your mouth so that no one can pickpocket you.
How you gonna talk?
Hey, Kamish! Hey! What's up doing there? Then at the end of the campaign, the crystal that you're trying to keep close to you, someone forces you to open it to try to eat, so it just rolls out and somebody swipes it. That's another thing. I wonder how often there are basically enough to try to pickpocket a creature off of a high level conjurer.
Yeah, I've thought about that situation. Made some rules for it actually. Let's see, what was it? If you have another person's creature, you can summon it yourself, but it's not obligated to obey you. Okay, you're breaking up again.
Every time I get close to my computer, it breaks up.
What were you saying?
I think where was I? Yeah, but it would at least disarm them. Like if you had a character that did just to poured all of their work into raising one creature to an absurdly high level and had like no other weak creatures with them, you could just steal that and then they wouldn't have anything to deal with. You could just attack them with your own creature.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like would sound like a good way for a GM to push the character for basically only working with their partner creature and nothing else. Make someone steal it and have a campaign about trying to get it back.
I don't see why you'd want to punish someone for that.
I don't know.
I have this already selected here. Whoops.
I was kind of noticing, like, you know how there's bedrolls and rations? It seems like the only reason we basically have those kinds of things, besides the ability to heal, is to be able to make instances where your characters cannot have them. Like, you're wandering through the wilderness and your characters don't have any bedrolls, so you have to have this challenge about managing your resources, about how much sleep you get, because you're not going to be able to recover HP because you don't have any bedrolls while out there, or something like that.
Well, it's resource management with weight and stuff. Not overlay. Multiply. There we go.
I remember you talking about how your plan with creatures is to get the theme of man versus nature. I was wondering, I think that you've kind of accomplished that at least in some degree. Like, where do you plan on going from where you are now to?
Alright, you're breaking up too much for me to follow again. I got something about creatures being man versus nature, and then it trailed off.
How do you plan on keeping that theme prevalent throughout the work? About the world building.
Well, let's see. Whoops. Hold on. I'm doing art things.
Okay, I understand.
how do I plan on keeping it prevalent? It's just going to be the fact that there isn't a whole lot of civilization out there.
Okay. Well, maybe some towns have basically resources up to have low resources in one regard or the other because it's nature. There isn't always a part of everything to go around. So you may have one town that lacks medical supplies, another town that lacks food, and that and part of the thing is, but basically how you characters go around that because they don't just have to deal with the wilderness like out there outside of civilization. Even if it's in civilization, they feel the effects of being within a kind of scattered community.
Once again, I think you're trying to deal with DM issues.
Mostly, I'm kind of talking just to talk. There's only just me and you here.
Yeah, stuff like what you're talking about, I would say is just going to depend on the campaign.
Yeah. I don't really have anybody else to pick. That's all I've done except you. So if I'm not interrupted, I just tend to ramble. What kind of background is it going to be? Is it just going to be a forest or some kind of cave?
Probably a forest.
Okay. Maybe some of that coral bone trees to give you that sense of
You're breaking up again.
Atomicity? Okay. Maybe some of those coral bone trees that you were talking about to give it a sense of the ominous?
Probably not, since that's like those are specifically barbarian things.
Okay.
Although similar things could exist in the wild. But not those specifically, no.
Okay. Just talking about in the background.
What else can we do with this?
I think it's pretty good as is.
I want to throw some highlights on there.
Yeah. The Crystal and Chloe's staff definitely needs a little bit of shine to it to reflect the light that's coming from the bottom. You know that character that you were planning on making for the playtest, have you completed it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'd kind of like to, know what other people are playing first.
I understand. Besides you or me, who else are you planning to get on to the playtest? You just the people from the first playtest? Are you planning on getting co-heads again, or what?
I haven't made any plans.
Okay.
I don't even know if Dale's going to be able to do it yet. Let's see.
Wait, what does Dale do for a living?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Let's see. Alright. Throw some of that on.
What are the TTRPGs that you admire the most? How the crafting and such.
Crafting?
No, how they're crafted. Like how the systems work.
Oh, the game design? Oh,
Yeah.
Lord of Darkness is interesting. That's why I'm using a lot of its ideas.
What about it do you like?
I like the dice mechanics. I like that they have specific mechanics that are designed to cause conflict.
Basically, mechanics that do that make some of the trouble for you. So you, as a GM, you don't have to constantly worry about getting like new things to challenge the party. The challenge comes from running the campaign by itself.
A part of the challenge comes from being the characters themselves, because World of Darkness focuses on supernatural creatures like vampires and stuff.
Okay.
So a big part of it is just dealing with the complications of being the vampires. So vampires have like a fear of fire. So if fire shows up in any time in the campaign, you're gonna have to like try to compose yourself. And if not, then your more feral nature is gonna have to take over. So they got a lot of things like that where it's just like, yeah, you have these cool powers as a vampire, but you've got a lot of other crap to deal with that makes it difficult to live around humans.
Is that kind of where the enmity and affinity thing comes in with the role playing? How you gotta act a certain way to deal with purchase, and sometimes you can't avoid it, so you just gotta deal with the consequences?
Yeah. Affinity and enmity are the creature's version of that, basically.
Okay. When did you come up with it? The affinity and enmity mechanics.
I mean, I think it's a fairly common idea in general that if you're doing a monster collecting type of game, you probably want to have some kind of relationship mechanic. And plus, before I thought of it, I didn't really have anything of that variety in the game. So it was just kind of a natural way to do it.
Okay.
At least I think.
Yeah. Natural progression. I kind of really love that feeling when you have a bolt of inspiration, and you're working on something really hard. Tons of things they just don't fit, but then you realize something just seems like so obvious that it's meant to be there. And then once you put it there, it just feels right.
Yeah. I want to go all out on this thing, but I need to do something else.
Seems like you've been basically sucked in to actually finishing it.
You know what? It's too sloppy. I can't do it now. I can't finish it like this. We're gonna have to send this to somebody else. Or come back to it later. Kind of a shame since I already spent 2 hours on it. I should know better. Okay, next question is what else am I gonna do?
Like in general, or just for the sketch?
For the sketch, for the next sketch.
Okay.
Let's see. Should whip out my phone. I think I got some ideas saved on here. Let's see. Tasks. Crytures art ideas.
How long is the list?
What?
How long is the creature?
You're not coming through.
How long is the Creatures art ideas list?
It's got 17 things on it.
Okay.
Some of it's just things I haven't done yet. Clam trees. Snail hive.
Wonder what there's no ocean in the Root Run region, right? Not region you're working with. It's mostly just rivers and forests and all that. You want to just focus on that kind of aesthetic, right?
For now, yeah, I mean, that's what the Vivid Vale is. Very foresty, woodsy, plainsy.
Makes me wonder if there are. Did you draw fish plants already?
Fish plants?
Sub creatures. They don't just use their.
You're popping in
People
and
like
out
fish
all
and
the
rivers.
time. Fish in rivers. Okay. They'd basically just be like filter feeding devolved forms of fish. If you're talking, I can barely hear anything.
Maybe the Mandela effect.
Still nothing.
You know what?
Why don't you get in the chat and ask questions there? I'm gonna have to wrap up pretty soon anyways.
Okay.
Let's see. You know what, I really should just make thumbnail sketches. This one actually probably should be completely different. What am I looking for? Canvas size, that's what we want. 3x4 instead of 4x3, there we go. The hell is this, man? CSP is garbage when it comes to making shapes. You faintly remember me drawing fish sub-creatures. I've doodled some in a notebook at one time. So, not completely unheard of. May have shared that on social media at some point. Alright. Okie dokie, we got our square. Now we can make some thumbnail sketches. This should go a little quicker. Whoops. Big. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna have structure here. We're gonna have some claymen coming out of this thing. As if to protect it from some guys in the foreground that are coming to plunder it or explore it, whichever you want to call that. There we go. Be kind of broken down since it's ancient. Alright, then in the foreground we'll have... Actually, it'd probably be better if we drew this a little... further back. Go ahead. Play it as usual, I see. But good to see you nonetheless. We're doing some thumbnail sketches here. You work for a living. Don't we all? Don't we all? I've been lucky enough to not have to work the weekend for a while. I have been quite productive. Claiming are going to take you to Brazil? Put the heads up here. Let's actually kind of lower the opacity on this. This is how I should have drawn the other ones. Instead of just going all out on that other sketch. This is for an illustration. I ain't got no time to be doing comics. Unfortunately, I ruled out drawing a comic for Crytures long ago. Okay, why aren't we drawing? Now we're drawing? Oh, it's because of the freaking guide on this thing. Yep. Let's make this female, because I have more of those. Minute 1 of project planning was Action Comics. Actually, I made a few pages. And then I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this and all the other things. Let's say this is going to be Konane. Maybe you and Kohath can brainstorm some 3-panel strips. I'm not stopping you. I ain't never gonna stop people from coming up with homebrew or fan art or whatever. I like it when other people are invested in the things I'm making. Enough to make their own kinds of stuff. I wanted to do them, I'd just do them. But man, comics are such a drag. I don't even want to do my own most of the time. Same. Yeah. See? Exactly. Comics take dang near forever to do anything with. This bow looks terrible. You know what? Screw the bow. I don't like this hand either. There you go, Adam. In case you can't read it on the screen. It says, if you want to do something and hand it off to me for literally any part but the annoying part, actually drawing, I'm game. Isn't that just how it is being an artist? Got all these things you want to draw, but you don't want to draw. Alright, now we're gonna have another one in the foreground. I'm gonna say this is gonna be Anton again. Okay, well, let's that back on. I'll erase out the parts that don't need to be there. Meeting folk like you on the internet has been a blessing for your psychology because I get it. I assume that's directed towards me. And if so, same back to you. There's too many normies in real life that just don't have that creative spirit. Definitely something that I've been missing for a while. I used to have some other friends that were more on the creative side, but haven't seen them for a while. Were they arrested? No, they just moved away. I live in a little town, and a lot of people just don't want to stick around. Everybody uses Facebook. Everybody wants to use Facebook to keep in touch with their real life friends. I don't like Facebook. Can't stand Facebook. Can't stand looking at the feeds. Can't stand wading through it and then finding out, oh, this thing that I'm about to reply to is actually 2 weeks old. Because that's the way their algorithms work. I hate Facebook. Facebook sucks. Actually, you know what? It's probably about time I should start wrapping things up around here. This might be a good time to just say that's a good thumbnail. So I can get ready for the podcast recording I'm doing with Arthadian. Which is in about 1 hour. We're going to be talking about Crytures, of course. And I think he's going to... we're pre-recording it, I think, so... I'll have to send a link to the actual episode when he releases it. I'll definitely get a link for it and put it on social media when he does that. And that went a lot quicker. So you didn't see this part, Kohath. The part where I made a quote-unquote sketch and then almost decided to finish it because I went so far already. Probably gonna toss this up on Minds and Twitter once I get off here. Yes, I did ignore the cardinal rule of sketching. That's the thing, I want it to be somewhat presentable so I can throw it on social media. I just don't want to do the whole thing, but I want to do the whole thing in order to make it presentable. Alright. I think that'll be it. Anyways, thanks for coming by and chatting with me, boys. Even if I couldn't hear half what you said, woo-woo. But, we'll have to pick this up next time. Or maybe off screen, who the hell knows? I just do things whenever now. Oh, bye.